we will do the mouth, and then after that we will do the cheeks and nose, and then we will put it all together. So in order to get started, the first thing we need to do is to draw a picture. Now this doesn't have to be, you don't have to be an artist. Matter of fact, this is a circle, and how many people's faces are a circle. But I remember from my art class days that if you draw a line across the center of the face, that's where the eyes are. People sometimes put them up in the top of the head, and that's really not where they go, because all of this here could be covered with hair. So I've gone ahead and drawn a circle, put my eyes and some eyebrows. I think I'm going to just do a simple little nose like this, and then I'll put a mouth. Whoops. Like I say, you don't have to be an artist, because I'm obviously not. But just to give you an idea of what you're going to be shooting for. So what I've done today is I have got out some Primo black and white. I have some blue. And it's actually the Primo Accents Blue Pearl, because I had some of that out and I just thought it was a pretty color. So today's girl is going to have blue eyes. And I've also included some brown. This is raw umber. Yeah, raw sienna. And I may add a little black to that. That looks... It's a nice brown, but it's maybe a reddish brown. Although if I leave this color for her eyebrows, then maybe I could make her either a blonde or a brunette. But anyway, and this clay, what I had a disaster this morning, because today is the only day I have to do this video. And wouldn't you know, I got out my beige clay, and it was one of those crumbly clays. It just crumbled all over the place. And I went, oh no, what am I going to do? So I got out some ecru, which is another Primo color. And put the, thought maybe if I did ecru and white, well, that ended up being really yellow looking. So what I ended up doing, this is the ecru and white, and then I sliced the beige into very thin slices and laid it on the good clay and ran it through the pasta machine probably a good 20 or 30 times. And now I have a workable piece of clay. So you can, I don't know what skin tone you would like to use for your face cane. I do have a Primo recipe guide that I looked up online when I found out that my beige clay was bad. But this is the different colors, and then over here is the color formula. And like I said, this is all Primo colors, and it's just really nice to have, because there's so many different skin tones that people could use. And this goes from the very lightest to the very darkest. So I'm going to see if I can attach this to or put a link to it in my description under this video, in case you want to mix up your own colors for your flesh tone. Or you can use the beige, which is very light. And this is what's left of my beige, and it's coated in clay softener right now. I'm going to keep this wrapped up so that it can soak in, and hopefully we can use that. But I like to use the beige because it has a translucent look to it. Sorry, my phone is ringing and it's distracting me. But they'll just have to wait. I've got things happening, don't I? So let's just start with the eyes. Now what I'm going to do first, I've got this little bit of white here, and I'm going to roll this into a skinny little skinny little rope or snake or whatever you want to call it. Because if you look at an eye, most eyes have a light reflection in it. So this is going to be that light reflection inside the pupil of the eye. And I'm not going to make this very big. And I'm going to do a black one about the same size. So there's my white, here's my black. I keep hitting my white and I don't want them together yet. And this seems to have some air in it. So let me pinch this off and I will recondition that. This had been conditioned before, and so I didn't do a whole lot to it, and I probably should have tried to make sure it was conditioned. But what I'm going to do here is roll out a black snake the same size as the white snake. And I'm going to put them side by side and then cut this off. And that's going to be that. And then I'm going to take black, and this is rolled out on the thickest setting of my pasta machine. Let me wipe my blade off. It's covered in that crumbly beige. I had the biggest mess. But let me see. This is rolled out at the thickest setting. I wonder if maybe I ought to go down a little bit. Let me roll this down on maybe the number 3 setting, just to make it a little bit easier to work with. And I'm going to lay this. Actually, it looks like a little bit of that beige clay came off on this. I'm going to lay this near the edge. I know you can't see what I'm doing. I'm going to lay the little black rope and the white rope. I'm going to lay on top of the black. And then trim off the black to the same length as these little ropes. And then I'm going to just roll it into a little circle, because you want the pupil. The pupil, of course, is black. You don't want it to be too big. So let me slice this end off to show you what we've got. So now we've got a black rope with the little white on one side. And this is going to be reduced a little bit more, so the white will get even smaller, but so will the black. But now I'm going to take that black, and I'm going to do the same thing with the blue. I'm going to make a flat side, and cut this off at the same width. And then we're going to wrap the blue around here several times. And I left this at the thickest setting, so let's see, I think I can go that far. If I need to add more, I will. And just roll this. And let's look at it and see what it looks like. Can you see that? Looks like I still need a little bit of blue here, so let me roll this back out. Again, on the thickest setting of my pasta machine. sorry for the noise. If I didn't use my motor, I'd never get as much done as I do. And this side needs some more blue. So let me put this here. And I'm just going to roll this smooth, and we'll see what we've got. Now this will make quite a bit of cane. See, that looks a little bit better. It's a little bit more even. So this is going to be the pupil and the iris of your eye. And now what we need to do is take the white, and I'm going to put that, what's left of that little snake, back in here, and I probably ought to reduce this a little bit. I really don't need this much. So let me just reduce this a little bit and go with a little bit smaller eye. See how that looks. Because you don't want your eyes to, I mean, if you look at your drawing, and where did I put my drawing? There it is. If we make the cane this big, you only want the eye to be this big. And my eye is that big. So, and this includes the white. So, if you picture this, I'm going to draw the little circles inside. See, that's how big you need it to make the cane. This is how big we've got it. So we are going to have to reduce this quite a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut off this part, and I'll save this for an eye cane that I'll do later. So there we go. So what I need to do now is to make a white triangle. And you can just squish the ends in to make it. And you make a triangle by just laying your clay on a work surface. And I'm sorry, mine's white. Excuse me, white, so you probably can't see very well. But you need this triangle to be at least as wide as your eye. But it also needs to be twice as long. So this clay doesn't seem to want to cooperate. Sometimes you just have to show your clay who's boss. So I'm still working this, trying to make it into a triangle. And I may have to add some more to it. Oh, it still can go down some. And this is going to be the white on either side of the iris, which is the colored part of your eye. You just keep pinching until you get your clay all, you know, this again, it was preconditioned clay, so I should have reconditioned it, but I didn't, because I knew I'd be messing with it. I can't pull it too much because it looks like it wants to split here on the ends, but so let me see. see how we're doing here. It still needs to be a little bit smaller, so just pinch and pull. Just pull slightly. Don't try pulling it a whole lot. But just pinch it and pull it just to make it a little bit smaller and a little bit longer. And this right here looks like it's just about the right size. So I'm going to go down the length of it and try to make it all the same as that. I'm sorry if you have a hard time seeing this white on white. But anyway, so I'm going to, let's see how long this is. This is 5 inches. So I'm going to cut it at 2.5. And then I'm going to take the triangle and kind of wrap this side around the blue part of the eye. This is going to be a little bit longer. And you take the other side and put it on the other side of your eye and bend the sides down around your round cane, and try not to distort the round cane. And let me show you what that looks like. So there is an eye. Now, of course, this is, again, pretty big, but what we're going to do is we're going to reduce this down as best as you can without distorting it, because we're going to use the same cane for both eyes. And unfortunately, it's rather chilly in my workroom today. Weather is getting really cold today. I hear there's snow in other parts of the country, but here in Virginia, it's just cold. Which I can live with cold. I don't really want the snow. I have shoveled enough snow and chipped enough ice and dug out enough cars that snow is not fun for me anymore. Those of you that live in the snow areas know what I'm talking about, but it's, you know, you need to get out, so you go out and you dig your car out of your driveway or wherever, your garage, wherever your car happens to be, and you go to the store. And then when you come back, the snow plows have come through. And there's a wall of snow now blocking your driveway, so you've got to dig yourself a path to get back in your driveway. So these people, I lived in Florida for 10 years. Everybody said, oh, I wish it would snow here. No, you don't. It's fun to look at. If you could stay in the house and never have to go anywhere and just sit here and watch it, yeah, it's beautiful. But when you have to get out and try to live your life with it. But this is reducing fairly slow because my room is cool. And I don't want to pull it too much and crack the clay. So I'm being very gentle. If it's warmer where you are, you don't have to be quite so careful. And I think I am going to do away with these sharp edges and while I reduce it, and then I'll pinch them back into place when I get it reduced. Let's see how small we are. That's where I was. That's where I am now. I'm about half the size, but my blue is getting a little out of whack, so I'm going to need to press that down some. Either that or my face is going to look like a cat instead of a person, which maybe you like cat eyes. I don't know. You might want to make your face a cat face. It doesn't have to be a person. I want to show you what I meant. See where that right there, the clay is cracking, and it's because I'm pulling on it. I'm a very impatient clayer, and I'm pulling on it a little bit too hard. Let me pinch this white back into a point and see what I've got now. And that will also help warm up this white. It's beginning to move much better now that I've warmed it up a little bit. Well, I've mashed. I probably shouldn't have done that. I'm going to turn the camera off and finish reducing this because you don't need to sit here for however long it's going to take me to get this done. I'll be back soon. Okay, I decided rather than try to reduce this down to a tiny little eye, I was going to go ahead and finish adding the layers to it and then reduce the whole thing, because it would make it much easier. And if I mess it up, I have another piece here that I can work with. So anyway, so I've got my eye reduced a little bit, and I'm going to wrap this in a thin sheet of black. Now I have rolled this to a number 5 on my pasta machine. 1 is the thickest, or actually 0 is the thickest. So this is a number 5, and which is pretty thin. You can see how thin it is. And I probably could go thinner, but it would make it a little bit hard to manage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut a straight side here, and I'm going to just roll this and wrap this in black. Now you don't want this black to be too thick, because if you do, it's going to look like eyeliner. And since I've reduced this down, that may be the case here. If so, we'll just have a painted lady. But this will help define the eye, you know, when you put everything else on it. So then I'm going to take my flesh color, and let me just cut a piece off because I'm not going to need a lot of it right now. And I believe I'm going to do this on the thickest setting. Let me just run it through one time. And I'm going to cut this in strips. I probably should have used a little bit more clay so I could get it in the right size strip. Let's see, it'll work that way. Okay, so what I'm going to do, and this is on a number 1, which is, it's pretty much the same as my 0. But let me just straighten these edges. It always works better to have your edges straight. And I'm going to lay this down. Even with the end of my eye. That sounds funny, doesn't it? And just roll that gently around. And I can see now how big it was. It was about that wide. So I'm going to put 2 layers of the flesh color. My phone keeps ringing. I don't know who's trying to get in touch with me. When I stopped the camera a little while ago, I went to check the other one, and it was my doctor's office reminder. I have an appointment next week. But now it's rung 2 more times. And I don't know who it could be. So anyway, so now I've got this, which is going to be like the eyelid. And then I'm going to take the brown, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut a piece. I'm going to trim it to about the same width as my eye. Now you can make this wider, you can make it thicker, but I'm going to make it a little bit longer than the flesh color because this is going to be the eyebrow. Probably ought to be longer than that. Let me run this back through my pasta machine. I'm going to roll this through one more time just because I need a piece that's going to be the right size. So let me straighten that edge, and I'll straighten this edge. And I think I will be that wide. So I'm going to take this I probably ought to have a little bit more. Well, you know what I might do? Let me do this. Let me cut. You can see I kind of think and do things as I go along. If I planned it ahead of time, it wouldn't go right because my plans don't usually seem to work. But I'm going to make a little rope. And put it on one side. So my eyebrow will have a thicker, you know how the part on the inside of your eyebrow is a little bit thicker than the one on the outside? I think I don't need it that wide. It's a little bit too wide. Unless, see, here I go thinking again. I'm going to wrap a little bit of, make another little rope of the flesh color and put it in there, and I will do another little rope of flesh color. Just make sure when you mix your flesh tone, whatever you're using for your flesh tone, just make sure that you're going to have enough of it for your entire project, because you don't want to lose, you don't want to have to mix another color unless you're using a color out of the package. But if you mix another color, it'll never match. So there we go. Let me trim this off and see what we've got. So here's our eye and the eyelid, and this will mash down a little bit as it's reduced. But we have the eyelid and the eyebrow now. So I do believe this is as far as I'm going to go today, because this really needs to rest for a while. Some of the clay is going to be really warm and some is going to be hard, so before I reduce this down, I need it to rest. So this will be all I will do today, and hopefully you can catch up with me, and next week we will reduce the eye down, cut it in half, and then we'll do maybe the mouth. And then we'll go from there. So come back again next Monday. Again, this is Gayle with Tupelo Designs LLC, where shipping is Greyhound fast and it's free in the continental United States. And if you have international postage, it's always discounted. But they're great people to work with. I've really enjoyed getting to know them myself. So come back next week and we will do the second part of our face cane. Thanks. Bye-bye.